Okay.
and they had a
We will now call to order the regular meeting of the Village of Middleville Council. May we please have roll call?
Kevin Smith,
Here.
Robert Bishop, Tracy Gillespie. Here. Richard Hamilton.
Here.
John Osterban,
Here.
Mackenzie Peters, Ann Williams. Here.
I believe a motion is in order to excuse Mackenzie.
I will make a motion.
Do you want to excuse both of them?
And Bishop.
Oh,
Bishop.
and Mr. Bishop. My apologies. We
No
Ms.
support.
Peters.
have a motion with support. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Okay. Could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion to approve the agenda?
I will make a motion to approve the agenda.
Support.
We have a motion with support to approve today's agenda as written. All those in favor? All those opposed?
Just a note, you don't have to amend the agenda for this, but Ms. Getty's unable to make it tonight. Alec will be covering Resolution 2511, and Doug will be doing the Planning Commission appointments. You don't need to amend anything, I just want to let you know.
Got it.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
We have a motion with support to approve the consent agenda, which is the approval of minutes of the regular meeting of April 8th, 2025, and approval of bills as of April 16th, 2025 for $54,162.08. Rhonda, may I please have a roll call?
Sure. Richard Hamilton?
Here.
Nope. Aye.
Oh, yeah, I am
Oh,
here. Aye. Sorry, I was in some other world.
It's okay.
I backed up.
It's okay. John Osterban?
Aye.
Mackenzie is absent. Ann Williams?
Aye.
Robert Bishop is absent. Tracy Gillespie? Kevin Smith?
Aye. Motion carries. This time, we'd like to open up public comment for a limit of 3 minutes per speaker. If you should choose to speak, please approach the podium with your name and address. None? None? Okay. We have reserve time. Brandon, welcome.
Glad to be here. Thank you very much. Nice to see all of you. A couple of people not here today, but anyway, well, with my engineering report for you folks, the Paul Henry Thornapple Trail bridges, those applications for the MDOT TAP and DNR Trust Fund are submitted. Everything looks good. They're under review, so we'll hear something from the TAP grant first, I suspect. And then we should hear from the trust fund folks in September, where they'll come out with some initial scoring, give us an opportunity to improve that score and move forward. But like I said, nothing's changed. I'm still guardedly optimistic that we'll be successful with both of those, and we will move that project forward. In the meantime, the plans are coming along. They're going to be at about 75% very shortly. So I'm going to get with Alec and Craig and the staff, and I'm going to present those plans. So that'll be an opportunity for people in the village to take a look at it, make sure we're going down the right road. I believe we are, but that'll be a chance to make questions before we get so far down. Well, we could always change anything on paper you want, but I think we're in a really good place. We know the scope, we know what you want, but there'll be an opportunity to make some comments. We can get Doug involved too, and anybody that wants to look at those from the village's behalf, and then we'll work towards a bid set.
What's the time frame on getting approval typically run for grants like that?
Well, we will find out in December for the trust fund grant. For the TAP grant, I believe we're going to know before that in around September, I believe. I think before the end of the state's fiscal year, I think we'll know that. So like I said, but we are always planning for a 2027 construction if we are successful with these applications this year. So, yep, they'll give next year for the grants and for the Eagle reviews and finish up the plans. We'll be done by then, but then we'll bid that in the fall, probably of 2026. And then we'll get a really nice bid price, we hope, and then a contractor can begin work on that in the spring of 2027.
Very nice. That way you don't, every time you're here, I won't ask you that anymore. So we're good.
Well, that's okay. That's fine. I'm happy to tell you. High Street, B&L has a little section of sidewalk. We were debating moving a wall, but we're going to put in the sidewalk with just a little bit less than full width, which we are allowed to do. It's just would deemed to be the best thing to do. So they'll be back to do that in just a matter of weeks.
What's B&L?
B&L contracting, those were the,
Oh.
I mean, it's just B&L. So
Where
it's
is it? Where's the, no, where's
the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Oh, see, it's on High Street. I'm not sure exactly which block, about 3/4 of the way down, I would say.
Okay.
Someone has a retaining wall there. So, and we kind
Oh.
of shifted the profile of the
Gotcha.
road, just the geometry of the road a little bit. So we were debating whether to move the retaining wall, but there's a gas main in there and some other things. It got pretty expensive when we can just go ahead and we can put that in.
Gotcha.
So.
Cool.
Good.
Mhm.
Then the retaining wall. So the work is nearly complete. They've got the work to do to reconstruct and then pave the parking lot, which I expect will also happen in a matter of weeks.
Okay.
Irving Road, Phase 1, bids are opening tomorrow.
Yes.
And bids have been opening consistently below our estimates. I think we're seeing that kind of industry-wide. When I talk to some of my peers too, asphalt prices are down, some other things are down. So I don't know if there's a little uncertainty in the world right now, and maybe people are waiting for more road funding, other communities. So I'm guardedly optimistic again that we're going to have a nice bid opening tomorrow. Railroad Street is in the design phase, and Irving Road Phase 2 is also in the design phase. The Irving Road storage tank will be inspected next Monday, I believe that is. So a company called Nelson Tank will be inspecting that bridge, but it's been that bridge, that tank. So they'll get in there and take a good look at it. The Mid Villa, the water main and all that is in. Looks like they're waiting to test that until they get some of the buildings and other things done. So Dwayne has been providing the part-time inspection on that to make sure everything's up to snuff so we can accept that into the system. At the wastewater treatment plant, George has the O&M manuals and O&M manual and the as-built, so he'll get to looking at those. We did notice a problem with the blowers kind of tripping out on pressure, and it turns out the hard water here in Middleville is actually fouling the air diffusers, but they're easily retrievable where they can be cleaned, power washed, and then put back in. So the increase in the pressure, the air pressure resistance through there is felt at the blower. So it makes them work harder, makes them draw more amps, and even blow the emergency relief. So looks like we found the cause of that. So, well, they found the cause. I didn't find it. And then we're here to provide some DDA support if there's things going on in the village that we can help with. We're happy to do that. And Doug calls from time to time with a question. Always happy to provide him an answer as well.
Excellent.
So if there's any questions about any of that or anything else?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Right, thanks.
Ms. Getty is not present, so we're going to move on. Petitions and communications for Broadmoor Motor Sales. Matt, Michelle. Looking for, you want to tell us a little bit about your permit?
Yeah. if you step
Request?
up there, Yeah. My name is Matt Koenig, and I'm president of Broadmoor Motor Group. And we're incorporated, I would say. We moved from Caledonia now to Middleville, and we did this 5 years ago during COVID. So we never had a grand opening for this store. We bought it from Claire Harkema, who's passed since, but and both of his employees that he had stayed with us. One's still with us, and the other one left about a year ago. But I would say our PR person that works for us really wants to have an event. So we're calling it a 5-year anniversary car show event. And so what we're looking for permission to do is to have on our property there to have a bounce house, a couple of food trucks, and we already put a sign-up sheet for people to bring their classic cars to the show. And we took out an insurance policy as well to cover us on that day. And I believe it's for June 11. June 11, 4 p.m. It's a Wednesday night. And so we're looking for permission for that. Anything else that you'd like to know?
Where's the sign-up sheet that you're at the show?
The sign-up sheet is available in a couple of different spots, but I have some flyers here, but you can scan the QR code and it's like a Google form that you can fill out and we'll get the information just so we know who's coming. We'll give some small prizes away. We'll have T-shirts that we give away, some other things like that.
You posted those at all the restaurants in town? And
I think she's getting them out. We do a lot with social media. Been ramping that up. So there's, I believe a link on our website and then Facebook, Instagram, things like that.
Cool.
If you got an extra flyer, I'd like one.
Yes,
If you have
ma'am.
an extra one, I'd like
I brought extra flyers. I was told to, so they're here.
So, Mr. President, if I may, I'd like to.
Back up for 1 second, because you do have comments from Sergeant Ware on there, that he does have concerns about how people are going to stay out of those red boundary areas and
Yeah, for
keeping
park
people
cars.
safe by the that should say inflatables, not inflables. Here I am. So anyway, so he does have concerns about that. I don't know if you want to put a contingent approval that Matt follows up with Sergeant Ware to make sure Sergeant Ware is comfortable, or how you want to do that. I just don't want his things not addressed.
Would he be willing to meet us on the property before we?
I'm sure he will.
Okay.
Like if you leave me your contact information, I can get with him probably tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so that's up to you guys how you do that. I just didn't want his concerns missed in there.
So, Mr.
Very
President,
good.
Yes.
if I may, make a motion to approve the event permit with the contingency that Broadmoor Motor Group meets with Sergeant Ware and Sergeant Ware has no further concerns.
Support.
We have a motion with support. Any other further discussion?
Welcome. Welcome to Middleville, 5 years later.
Right.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. It's been good.
Good.
So, thank you.
All right.
Anything else?
I think we're all set.
All right.
Thanks.
Who can I leave these
You
with?
have to vote yet.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations. All right, ordinances and resolution, Glormar.
Good evening, council members. It's been a while, right? In front of you guys have Resolution 25-10. It's our first budget amendment for the fiscal year of 2025. Basically, approving these resolution will be able to make the changes that we need to do to our current year budget.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I move that we approve Resolution 2510, fiscal year 2025 budget adjustments according to the outlined data that Gloria has given us, Glorimar. has given us.
Support.
We have a motion with support. Any further discussion?
I just had a question on the increase amount. Is that just the borrowing from other accounts and moving them around? Or is it a significant increase? Because the way I read it, it was like up almost $900,000, not transferring.
Yes, basically, when we ask for revenue increase, it's money we have received, but it was not part of the budget.
Okay.
So we just want to make that clear so it shows in our budget.
All right.
Another increase that we have in there is from the Mayor Street Fund. It's because in our current budget, it was supposed to go to local street for the High Street Irvin project, but Irvin is not a local street, it's a Mayor Street, so we're gonna have to do that change, that's all.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But most of the increases is because, yeah, we have money coming in and it's not in our actual budget.
Any other further discussion? All right. Gloria Marquez, or Rhonda?
You pick.
Not anymore.
Rhonda, may I please have a roll call?
John Osterban,
Aye.
Mackenzie Peters,
Aye.
Ian Williams,
Aye.
Robert Bishop, Tracy Gillespie,
Aye.
Richard Hamilton,
Aye.
Kevin Smith,
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Craig Stolzenberg, who is disguised as Alec Benson.
Good evening. What you have in front of you is Resolution 2511. That is to set a public hearing for consideration of Amendment Number 5 of the LDFA plan. The current plan is set to expire on December 31st of this year. With Amendment Number 5, that would extend the plan another 10 years. In addition to adding a couple additional projects to the LDFA plan itself. Tonight, all we're doing is setting the public hearing for, I believe it's May 27th. And then we would, during the May 27th hearing, we would do a formal layout for council and any public that may be there at that time.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2511.
Or
We have a motion with support to review and approve Resolution 2511 to set public hearing to consider Amendment Number 5 to the Development and Tax Increment Financing Plan submitted by the Village of Middleville Local Development Finance Authority. All those in favor?
Nope.
Aye.
Never mind. Roll call, please.
Mackenzie Peters,
Aye.
Ian Williams,
Aye.
Tracy Gillespie,
Aye.
Richard Hamilton,
aye.
John Osterban,
Aye.
Kevin Smith,
Aye. Motion passes.
I think I'm up next, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Oh.
there we go.
I guess we're on to council and staff reports, please. Alec?
I just figured I'd hang out for a minute. Save me a trip. So you have my report in front of you. Just like Brandon alluded to, we are sending out bids for Irving Road. Hope to either get bids out this year, if not even start this year project for phase 2, just depending on how quick we can finish up the design plans. And that's part of the reason why we're having that reservoir tank inspected, to see if there's any flaws or defects that we may have to fix during that construction project. Other than that, it's typical spring activities for us. The only other thing I'd like to ask and review with council is the downtown trees. There are 2 trees that are in immediate need of removal. Well, I shouldn't say that. They are not in the immediate need of removal. The sidewalk around them is in immediate need of repair. So just kind of, you can give staff direction tonight. Essentially, we have 2 options / 3 options. First option is remove the sidewalk, cut some roots around it, put the sidewalk back in place. Tree stays. That's a Band-Aid that might last a year, might last 4 years, depending. Second option is remove the tree and then repair the sidewalk, fill the tree in with brick or concrete where the tree was, and then work towards a larger, greater plan moving forward with all the downtown trees. Because the trees that are not an issue right now will become one. And if we fix the ones temporary, like I said, it might buy us a year or 2, maybe 5. I'm kind of leaning towards the year or 2 before they become an issue again without removing the trees, but it's kind of ripping the Band-Aid off, so you speak, with just removing 2 decently sized trees downtown.
So I had a thought.
Mhm.
Because you asked us to think about it.
Yep, absolutely.
Please.
We love to have the green in along the village streets, but I think it might be, if the trees have to go because we can't continually pour money into it, I would think raised flower beds or boxes where we could put annual stuff in there might be a good solution, so it's not interfering with sidewalk or any kind of infrastructure, and we can still maintain green.
Yep.
And flowers.
Are there any other tree options that like what do other cities, villages do? Like,
Or that. So Hastings literally just went through the same thing.
yeah. right?
Except for they were fast forward about 5 or 6 years. If you remember 10 years ago, they slowly removed a couple trees, slowly
Agree a
removed.
little bit, yeah.
And then eventually they just redid their whole downtown again.
Right.
You could put a
Um,
different tree there.
The tree options are, some of these trees are supposed to be slow growing trees.
Right.
And these trees are almost 20 years old. So it's not like they're young trees, but they're gonna grow. They're gonna cause issues with your sidewalk. They're gonna
Right.
cause, it's
Totally
a
get
guarantee, yeah.
So I'm gonna miss the Christmas lights, like coming down with each of the trees lighted
Well,
up.
And
Like
ultimately,
that
right now
Christmas.
is not, we don't need the answer of what to do going forward with everything right now.
Sure.
Right now, we have two issues that we need to deal with. We can spend money and put a Band-Aid on and let the trees stay for now, but fully well aware that the sidewalk issue probably will come back. Or the tree may die, or we just cut the tree off and fill those two spots in right now.
Are
You
you
said they're 20
talking
years
right
old
now?
But all those trees are 20 years old
Yeah.
currently, yes,
And they're just gonna keep growing, is what you're saying?
yes.
Are you talking now, taking down all the trees or just?
Now taking down two trees,
Oh, okay.
just two trees right now. I don't, unless I'm directed by council, I do not want or plan to take any trees down unless they are creating an issue with the sidewalk.
I have
And
a
it's
quick-
just two right now.
I have a quick question.
Mhm.
So for the rest of the trees that aren't interfering with the sidewalk, is there
Yes.
still some sidewalk disturbance with removing the stump and the roots anyway? So like if we were to say, hey, take them all out so we can get moving on the project, I'm not saying that's what we're gonna do, but just to have that in our brain, would that require some removal of sidewalk as well?
So right now, to take the ones out that I'm planning on taking out, I'm gonna do a very minimal stump removal.
Mhm.
Because if you're starting to talk about stump removal on these trees down here, it gets very involved and because you have all of our underground sprinkling down there, all of our electrical that goes up and downtown is all through there. So it gets pretty involved once you start going underground, anywhere in this downtown block, because there's so much infrastructure underneath those sidewalks.
What
So
tree
right
trees?
now, I would just be cutting it just enough below grade that I can get some type of surface over top.
What two trees?
There's one right here in the parking lot by 101, and then one straight across the street from, or right in front of Sandals right now, by where your shop used to
Oh,
be.
Sandbar.
Sandbar,
Oh, yeah.
Sandbar, yes.
I know that one is.
Yep. There's
That
this
one's
one,
a-
and then there's one straight across the street.
Right.
And
Oh,
that one that up the hill that's probably the biggest one we have on Main
Yeah,
Street.
that one.
It's
was
actually a
aff-
maple tree.
That one was affecting your
I
plumbing
don't know.
there.
So
And
I'm
the
a,
one in front of Weston's is not a problem?
Not yet.
so I'm a city person, so forgive me. If you cut it below grade, does that mean it stops growing? Or is it still gonna cause issues?
It still
later
could
on?
grow a little bit, but it's very minute of the issues that it could cause.
Okay.
But it's not going to, if you starve it from all oxygen, it'll help out quite a
It'll
bit.
die out, yeah.
Yeah, about 6 inches below grade is all I'm gonna do.
Okay.
In terms of cost, I know there, excuse me, whether we do all of them now or just the two now, not a big difference.
Oh, it's, yeah,
I mean,
to do the two now, just to take them down, I'm talking 2 to 4 guys, 4 or 5 hours worth of work or less. To take them all down right now, it can get expensive. I mean, because you want to cap them too. You just don't want leave that space open. I would not recommend taking them all down right now whatsoever.
That would be a little radical, I think.
Mhm.
I think
A slow approach would be it's just either leaving the two or
it wouldn't,
removing them is really what my recommendation would be.
Yeah, we
I
gotta
have a
either
question
cap
about
them
the
off
cost.
or put a flower bed thing there. Somebody's gonna
If you were
stumble
to do a
over it.
raised flower bed, what's the cost difference between a sidewalk and maybe putting a raised boardwalk through town where you want it to be walkable? and don't want the roots to disturb the sidewalk, rather than redo the sidewalk or put raised flower beds in? What's the cost difference?
So you're saying doing a
Yeah.
raised sidewalk?
Yeah, like a boardwalk, like you see.
So
right now.
if we repair the sidewalk that we have right now to fix what the issues that we have, you're probably talking $1,500 or something like that.
Right.
To put a raised boardwalk in, I'm guessing $100. Yeah, so a
Right.
couple $100,000.
She had mentioned raised flower beds.
She was mentioning just
The
over,
flower beds.
right over top, the raised flower beds right over the top where the
Right,
trees
okay.
at, that's it.
But I mean, as far as readdressing these tree issues again and again, like to do them all eventually or whatever, I mean, what is the?
And I
Well, it's
believe,
just like a handful of hours.
I mean, it was
versus
$500,000 for a patch of sidewalk from like almost Irving Road, just, I mean, a block's worth of sidewalk.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering how the cost difference is all.
Well, we have our own stuff, so with the, we just need the material and we have the labor that will do it.
It's kind of built in. They're already at work, right? So
yeah,
and just from my perspective, I think a slow roll, they're going to be a problem always anyway, as they continue to
Right.
grow, especially a maple tree. They don't get smaller over time. So I would say remove the trouble trees now, but I would also encourage staff to start considering, especially our Main Street initiative is all in on stuff like this. So it actually falls in line with our long-term strategy anyway, to transform what we have now into a more walkable, usable space. So if removing those trees is the right answer in the short term, I would say, with the council's approval, I would say that would be the best bet and the least amount of money.
yeah,
For
and then, like I
sure.
said, we can cap them with either brick or concrete for now, and then figure out maybe a flower bed
Yeah.
as
I mean, I
things come up.
think
I
of-
just don't, I'd hate to see a treeless town.
Yeah,
anyway.
sure.
Other towns do it somehow.
But
so-
with the exception that we will be continuing to improve the town.
Right.
That's where I'm at.
I think it's the right mix of bringing in the right trees. There's certainly the right trees to put. I don't know if the traditional white blossoming flower trees
Yeah.
are the right choice because they
And-
are
and-
odoriferous.
Yeah, and
What are they called?
There's a pear tree that was.
Ornamental.
Oh, is
Yeah.
that what it is?
Ornamental.
Ornamental pear, yeah.
and
Those
they are,
ones that have the cotton.
yeah, and they are doing a little bit different now with, when they install the new trees, they're actually putting a deep, long cylindrical tube
To prevent root
and actually
expansion.
trying to shove the roots downward into the ground farther. So
Yeah,
it's a new
Yeah.
practice that has came up since
I was
2005,
literally gonna
2006.
just bring that up.
Doug was whispering in my ear. We have Malia, some of you may know Malia. So she's a landscape architect.
Yeah.
That we have, so she's.
And I believe Doug's already similar, kind of looking into some of the stuff from past discussions we've had with council. So
This would be a good case study for discussing with a consultant and having as part of our
Agreed.
development plan for the DDA moving forward,
Good.
especially long-term, like short-term.
Shameless plug for my oldest daughter. She's a landscape architecture as well. And I had a conversation with her about tree removal and
Mhm.
just having these discussions over time. And I'm with everyone. I would love to have greenery and shade trees downtown. I
Absolutely.
think that's a phenomenal aesthetic. But I always ask what trees, what does she recommend? And she came up and she told me about those cylinders where you can have trees that grow a little bit taller, but
you're just forcing the roots straight down
Right.
instead of out.
right, and it prevents interference with all of the other stuff that's underneath the sidewalk. So
My only other
it's-
comment, I guess, is that if we're going to cut them down, so I agree with that, cut the problem ones down. But do we want to cover them with cement, or we have we cover them with cement and then decide to put trees in them? I guess we should have a
We can
plan
put,
what
we can
do
put
after.
we were looking at possibly just using some pavers, similar to what's on the
Oh,
sidewalk
okay.
right now,
That
just
could be
covering up
if we
with
remove,
pavers.
if you
Yeah.
Decide, hey, now we can put a tree.
Right.
So let's,
So-
And to be frankly honest, is if we do decide to put a tree back there or redo downtown, the minimal amount of concrete that we'd have to repair is gonna be a fraction of the cost of it.
Okay.
larger project.
Yeah.
And there's a good possibility that doing this very slow roll approach gives us plenty of time. We could be getting 5 to 10 years down the road before we really have to worry about this, and just very slowly, because some of these trees are not very big at all.
So let's, for now, remove the trees, put
Mhm.
pavers in, figure out what to do next.
Yep, that's kind of what I was thinking. I just wanted to make sure everybody was on board before you were shocking all downtown.
Well, it will already be shocking. I think that
Oh, it will
maple
be.
up on that maple is going to be missed for sure.
Yeah.
We had plumbing issues when I was there.
Yeah.
Because of the roots.
I'm assuming you're going to,
The plumbing. snaked
yeah.
All the time. The roots were wrapped. And
How'd
every
the
time you
spring
snake
cleanup
it,
go?
you grab roots.
What's that?
How's spring cleanup go?
Good. So we're preliminary totals. We got a whole Republic today. Kim called them, and we're roughly about the same amount of as what we normally pick up during a normal spring
Really?
curbside. Yeah, and they had a couple more trucks away, but they're figuring gross tonnage, they're about exactly the same. So they ended up filling, I think they were 30-yard dumpsters. They filled 21 30-yard dumpsters.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I didn't hear any major complaints from any residents. Spoke with my guys that were there. We had 3 DPW staff members there, helping unloading everything, and it was a steady flow all day long.
I think, first of all, I find that service to be invaluable. I think it's certainly something that the village, that service, the roadside portion of it obviously was just a cherished service that people took advantage of every year, including myself. And the one thing that I did not miss this year were the traffic going up and down every single road for hours and hours and hours at 1 o'clock in the morning, picking up stuff off of the side of the road, which is commendable. I mean, it's obviously, they're taking it to recycle it or whatever, but
Just don't bring it back.
yeah, I think it's just a testament that the service worked, obviously. I couldn't tell you, and I don't know, 21 dumpsters is a lot of stuff, but if it's comparable to previous years, then obviously
Yeah.
people were still taking advantage of it. I imagine that there was all sorts of traffic, people loading up their cars and trucks and everything and bringing that stuff down.
Yeah,
so-
I'd have to speak with Scott with a posse, but I don't think it ever actually made it out on the 37. I think we were able to stay off of 37.
Really?
I have to verify that yet, but it was steady flow. I think first cars were there like 6:35.
Yeah.
Didn't really start unloading until 7, but as soon as cars were there, they started going, and it was a steady flow all day long. Some people had 1 trip, some people had 5 trips.
They're all used to going to Berry County
Right.
twice a year too. And that's,
Yeah.
it's not like, I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, there might be a couple tweaks here and there. We can just be a little more efficient for next year, but
How many people left their stuff on the side of the road anyway?
I have not driven every road in town, but I know of at least 2.
I know we had a
And
lot
then
of
I believe code enforcement's gonna be looking into that. So
We had
not
no-
positive. I don't want to speak for them, but
We did have no complaint phone calls yet this week. Like, we had some people wondering how it's going to work, but no one has called this week and said, my stuff did not get picked up, so that we didn't have any of that. And there was actually good comments in the chatter, so.
I think it was look, I think it's a shock to the system anytime you make a change.
Absolutely.
But, and it's bound to generate complaints, and certainly warranted. I mean, any kind of change is difficult, but I'm glad that people still made their way down there. And yes, it is inconvenient to take 5 trips down to a dumpster, but hey, they got rid of their stuff and their house is cleaner for it. So, or their garage is. So I'm glad for that. So a service that I have, as long as I'm on this board, I will support that. That's a good use of our time and energy to make that successful. So thank you for that. Anything else, Alec?
anything else for me?
Nope.
All right, thank you.
Moving on to Mr. Powers. Come on down.
Good evening, council. So you can see that the permits are starting to pick up. We're getting a few more permits being pulled. Beyond that, there were 2 public hearings at the last planning commission meeting. One was for a special land use request, the other was a rezoning request. So the rezoning request you'll be seeing in the form of an ordinance at an upcoming hearing as soon as the attorney is finished drafting that. There's a couple different items that the planning commission or ordinance committee's been working on. They're gonna take a little bit of time, so it'll probably be, a little while before you'll see final documentation pertaining to that. So regarding the DDA social district implementation, we've gotten additional documentation now in the draft form that'll be presented to the council later. First, got to take it back to the DDA board and make sure that what the attorney's suggestions are in line with what we think the community's interests are. But that's in the process, so maybe next month. Beyond that, as we discussed about the downtown trees, we're in the process of updating and renewing the TIF. So that's one of those items that can certainly be aligned in our development plan, seeing how it aligns with CIP and other various items. Talk over with the board as well about possible options. Yeah, there's a handful of things going on. I don't know if you have any questions by anything specific.
Can you explain a little bit more on the social district? Like how is that going to work? Give me something that I can visualize. Like, are people just going to go to River Dog and grab a drink and then walk around with
So
it?
there's,
Right?
yeah,
Or
kind of.
Other places?
So absolutely.
And they can walk around anywhere downtown?
So we establish a boundary.
Okay.
That there will be a boundary. It'll be designated by signage saying that you cannot go further beyond this point. And that they have to have specified cups with a specific marker that is yet to be established.
Okay.
But that is what the business is. And so how it works is that first, we establish a boundary, then we have to establish a maintenance plan along with making some ordinance changes that relate to consumption of alcoholic beverages in the public. Part of that maintenance management plan, we have to establish hours, rules and procedures for handling conduct. So there's a handful of things that go on with that. But once we have gotten the social district approved, then individual businesses would have to apply for licenses after that. There's no one that would be, guaranteed being able to automatically have. Those would be separate. So
Sure.
it's a multi-stage process. What I'm suggesting is even if you do have an ordinance and resolution approved soon, that does not mean that we're going to have those businesses at that same time.
Sure. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay.
I have a question, Doug. You mentioned booze. There's other things involved in social connections, such as marijuana, smoking, blah, blah, blah. Have you thought about that? The mix of both of these things in a social district?
So,
Has it been discussed?
so if there's specific concerns, I'd be more than happy to get what those are and, but it may be more prudent to see what the resolution is that's being requested as part of the maintenance management plan. And then we could look at those individual line items. Because the social district,
I don't want to hear, is there any special concern?
there's nothing
I wanna
pertaining to
hear if
marijuana in the
people
social
talked
district.
about it. Did anybody mention it?
No.
Okay.
Social district only has to do with the consumption of alcoholic beverages, has nothing to do with marijuana usage.
That's what you think.
Well, that's the only topic that they're bringing up is about alcohol, but I get,
But-
but your point is taken.
Yeah, my point
sure.
is, I really want to, I made a point last meeting. And I know it sounds like a great thing, okay? 40 years ago, drunk guy went out of Mid-Villa and killed Elton Lawrence's daughter and part of her family. It was a huge settlement. All I'm thinking in advance is, how do we control the excessive use of social beverages and pot? Because that is so long. You can walk around out here and smoke if you want to. Okay, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
There's deep pockets involved in anything that may happen, and the deepest pocket is Little Village, and that bothers me.
So
So we really need to think about what we're doing here.
And if-
I've been doing some reaching out to the community about the social district, and the more feedback I get is not so much about the alcohol, it's about family-friendly events.
Okay.
That's the biggest feedback I've been getting. And it's, the people's mind is, well, if I want to drink, I'll just go into a bar. It's not a big deal. The only folks that really say anything about a social district is when we have the music series. And maybe just having it for that time frame would be one thing, but to have a social district year round is not something really that I've heard people wanting.
So if I can address both of these comments, concerns, this would have to be approved by this board.
Yeah.
So you would have the opportunity to vote in favor or in opposition of this request. And I'm sure you will notice that a lot of your concerns will likely be addressed as part of the maintenance management plan. I've been working closely with the president to try to get a lot of these questions and concerns addressed before it comes to this board for consideration.
Right.
But this is something that has been being discussed and has been being worked on for, I believe, about 5 to 6 years. So,
I think all the point, and just to cap this conversation, I think, I don't think a social district is successful year round. So I think that you're certainly on point with that. I think it's something that encourages when people do come out, which is usually in the spring and summer and fall. In terms of marijuana use, I think that there's some hard guidelines that we can certainly agree upon, because when you're drinking alcohol, you're consuming it as an individual. When you're smoking weed, you and everyone around you is smoking weed. So I think there are going to be some very clear boundaries with regard to that as well, and certainly a good consideration. I think a social district isn't necessarily a family friendly per se, but it certainly would encourage, if mom or dad want to have a glass of wine or whatever and watch the music series, it only enhances that experience, and it becomes more inclusive of everyone who might just simply be stuck in Riverdog or Champs when they really should be in front of the band while their taxpayer dollars have gone to really enjoy that experience as well. So I think it would encourage more community gathering, and I think to the extent that it has boundaries and rules, and it's that we mandate, hey, we want to make sure that there's adequate enforcement of the social district, but more importantly, that we're thoughtful of everyone that's involved in that. And I think these are both good points, and I think they're certainly going to be considered as we bring the final iteration on that. And by the way, once it's here, it's open for more discussion. So I'm sure it'll be amended. I'm sure it'll be amended once we see it the first time. So, but to Mr. Powers' point, the framework is solid, and I think we're closer now than we've ever been in the last 5 years to establishing a social district, which I think it's good for the community in general. And it's great for the businesses that are downtown, because people will be more apt to meander around. So I think, however we can continue to be that incubator, I think that's the primary goal. And the second goal is certainly, let's create an environment where people can really enjoy the downtown for what it's meant to be. It's meant to be enjoyed. So let's make that
I only bring this up, Mr. President, because I wouldn't want to see us do something that in the end drives people away
right.
that have children and families.
That's correct.
That's just have
and
the liability of it.
We really have one shot to get it right, I think, to make it a success. And that's why I think it's going to be great to just consider each of these phases as we continue to develop it and communicate those concepts to the board so that we can get good direction overall.
Mr. President, if I could,
Yes, sir.
the way the resolutions being drafted would allow for it to be modified if there were concerns regarding the maintenance and management of the operations. That I'll be able to speak about this in more detail at the next meeting, just since we don't have the documentations in front of us,
Right.
rather not go into too many details.
And then if I may, I believe state law, it's illegal to consume
Yes.
marijuana in public anyway.
Right,
Yes.
but that doesn't mean that we'll do it.
Our
I'm-
ordinance is that even at the location, even at dispensaries, you can't smoke outside the
Right.
dispensary.
Right.
You can't smoke
Yep.
outside the dispensary, can you?
No, I don't believe
You
so.
cannot.
Can't, no.
So,
You can't even consume at a dispensary.
And Sergeant Ware, is he involved in the discussion levels?
Yeah,
imagine
I think
he
in the
is.
maintenance program, I think he will certainly have a say
That'd
in
be the
that.
maintenance
so,
program,
yeah.
it won't be citizen arrest.
Right. No, I think it's all good points, all really good points.
All right, thank you.
And if I may just reiterate one point is, in these discussions, as you're going through these meetings, I think you had touched on it a little bit already, but just making sure that we really discuss maybe having a social district during certain times or certain events versus an all-year thing, you know what I mean? You know,
Mhm.
watching a bunch of drunk guys coming down the or Main Street here on a Thursday night with nothing going on, doesn't really scream attractive town at all, so,
Yeah, it doesn't sound, yeah.
yeah.
That's
We wait till
what-
10:30
that's
at
my
night.
I'd like
point.
that just to be considered in the discussions.
And that's something that could also be considered when this board is reviewing,
Yeah.
licenses on an individual basis later too. Doesn't have to be this district.
Thank you, Mr. Powers. Appreciate your time.
Welcome.
Ms. Clark?
Hello, board. As you can see in front of you, I have my spring 2025 report. A brief overview, essentially my main focus this past month since starting this position has really been about getting in connection with our local downtown businesses, making sure that they know who I am, that they can put a name to a face, and to kind of collect any data or information that they might have, such as like issues or concerns that I might be able to help them with. Additionally, as well, I just recently, with the DDA's approval, I was able to begin a special booth at the market this year for local entrepreneurs. It's going to be a special section mainly focused on our small businesses, like local entrepreneurs who are maybe starting businesses out of their home, who don't really have the opportunity to get themselves out there or to network or to make connections with people in the community. And I wanted to find a way to kind of bridge that gap so that they could do that. And that was successful. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes this year for the market. Additionally, I've been working with the downtown businesses to plan a shop hop. This would be on June 13th. This is just with the businesses themselves, so nothing really going on the streets, just with inside the businesses. Additionally, as well, I've been focusing on my training, and also I will be having a like a networking event this coming Friday. It's going to be kind of a kickoff to my open office hours that I would like to do. Essentially, I would like to have a time frame once a week where anybody can, whether that's a business or a community member, can come off the streets and talk to me with any questions that they might have. And the reason that I wanted to do this is because I recognize that there is a serious need for being available so that people can connect and find the answers that they're looking for without having to make phone calls or emails. Anybody can just stop in. Is there any questions?
I have one. Mr. President, I have one, please. Oh. I think you're doing great. Jeez.
Oh, thank you.
It's a breath of fresh air, quite frankly. One of the things that we've had an issue with is when somebody leaves, we don't know why. Without infringing on their privacy, if it's personal or whatever, that's another thing. But if there's something that we need to know, and we do need to know why someone comes here and then leaves in a business, we just keep us informed. That's all I would ask.
Yeah, definitely. So one thing that I, not to go too off record, actually, this past week, I was able to meet with the gentleman that owns Grand Rapids Express there, the trucking company, just inside that plaza with Harding's. And I was actually able to get together with him and the Berry County Chamber of Commerce to come in and have a sit down with him and kind of do like a retention visit, because he does have some concerns and issues that are potentially keeping him from being able to keep his business here in Middleville. So they were a really great resource. I was actually able to learn about some resources from them myself, about some like additional ways that we can help the businesses, and that can be reflected in, you know, any business that might come to me with an issue.
Nice.
Thank you.
Of course.
You'd mentioned in your report about social media and bolstering that. Did you have a chance or opportunity to connect with the school with regard to some of the things that we talked about?
Yes, so I haven't been able to make contact with the school yet, but I am kind of hoping to be able to get with somebody, as I have some connections, and someone that might be able to get me in contact, hopefully with the right person, so that I can make those offers
Good.
to them.
Awesome. Wonderful. That would be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Mr. Pergler, the man, the myth, the legend.
Well, everything it's spring is sprung, so everything is kind of going back to normal, which is about, you know, pets and chickens, parking, the whole thing. So you've seen it all. You know, the report's in front of
Got
you.
rid of the snow anyway.
Yeah.
We're still going to talk about that.
Snow to grass, so.
Sooner or later. Yeah.
There's really not much. I was gone last week and in driving through town, there was a few developments that I will follow up on. But, you know, it's a pretty standard report. There's just not a lot of exciting things going on.
And remind me when we can start parking legally on the road again,
I'm sorry,
as a matter of public record, so that we can get it
Oh.
out there.
the RV parking?
No, parking on the street.
Oh, March 31st.
Very well.
You're park anywhere.
Already in it.
Just not in front of fire hydrants.
Ironically, not as many people taking advantage of that as I thought would be, which is fine. I noticed the fire engine and the EMS service driving down my cul-de-sac. And I was parked out there just because it's like playing
Because
Tetris in my driveway. Ironically, I watched as that fire engine went down the road and how close the cars were to that. I can't even imagine if there was an emergency and they were trying to make haste to somebody. I mean, that would slow people down. So we certainly had a conversation, and this is before some of the members of this board had joined, but we had discussed limiting which side of the road to park on and so on. So I think a conversation we should definitely continue, probably post haste, in terms of coming up with a solution. I know that Mr. Powers and I have had conversations about that as well, but something that it was very eye-opening watching how big that truck is compared to the space that was provided while those cars were parked on both sides of the road. So
It could be 12 months, but.
It's also a children playing issue too.
Yeah.
Because
you bolt out behind the car.
a lot
Yeah.
of little kids
What was-
over and.
What was the reason for not drafting an ordinance for that? Because I thought we had approved
I did too.
the, you know,
Mailbox
The
location.
ordinance committee does have a division and street ordinance section that's currently in process, along with several other ordinances.
so it got backlogged, that's what you're saying.
We had to wait for the consultant to give us, and, you know, Brandon can probably speak on some of this too, but we were waiting on the information, you know, to be provided to us and some of the recommendations that needed to be attacked from the engineering standpoint, along with the programmatic from the planning side. Now we have that ordinance along with updating each of the different zoning standards, the land division splits. So there's at least 9 different ordinances.
Yeah, that was a heavy lift. for
So
that.
it's still being in progress. It's not like it
I
fell
have
off
the
the cliff.
documents, it just hasn't been drafted in the form of an ordinance yet, because it's closed, but there may be some things that need to be addressed before it's ready for the time.
All right.
Along that same line, what was the car counting machines for?
Oh.
I can, on
Yeah.
M37,
Yeah, and Main Street.
I don't know for a fact, but I do know they're in the process of design for traffic signal upgrades at the intersection.
I think it was
So
time.
left turn
And-
light?
So I was wondering,
I do not have that information, and I do know they're not scheduling that construction until 27.
first thing.
So they're just in design phase. I don't have any other information than that. So that's why they were counting to see traffic flow through that intersection.
That's the first thing I thought of.
Yeah.
Left turn.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Pergler. Appreciate you. Takes as long for them to put a light in as it does for us to build bridges on our path. That says anything about the complexity of traffic lights, I guess.
We might be shorter.
We had one out by Duncan Creek today, portable one.
Okay, so liaison reports. I do want to cover that. Go ahead.
We're having the household hazardous waste collection on May 17th. It's a Saturday, the third Saturday, I believe, next month. They'll take tires, electronics, paint, certain types of paints. You can find the list on the Berry County Conservation District website. It lists all the things you can bring in. I believe it starts at 9 and runs till noon, I think.
That's at the fairgrounds.
Yeah, at Berry County Fairgrounds, yep. Yep, I'm gonna be there ready to count cars and direct people first thing in the morning, so put my son to work. But it is a good opportunity to get rid of those things you can't otherwise get rid of in your normal drop-offs or pickups and weekly pickups.
Sure.
And they do that twice a year. I think that's awesome.
I have a couple. So a couple weeks ago, we had that secondary meeting with some folks. So Craig, Kate, and I attended that and discussed some action items for the library committee on what the next process is since we got the feasibility back. And there's a couple of things we need to plan out, but Craig is working on that. We do plan on talking a little bit about that at the township joint meeting that I think he was working on putting together with Eric. And also a couple things needed from the school as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing that project move forward. And then last week, Wednesday, we had a Thornapple Parks and Rec meeting. Nathan from Williams and Works was there. We discussed the action plan essentially for the 5-year rec plan and getting that renewed. We've scheduled or kind of plotted out what our public engagements are going to be. We also went over some of the need for joint meetings, so that, be prepared for seeing some of those things come out on a timeline, so that way we can get that rec plan renewed. Yeah, because we certainly want entity feedback from each participating entity on what they want to see as part of the TAPRC's goals for the next 5 years.
Right, having that plan is key to unlocking access.
Yeah, the RRC, RCC.
Minutes were included in our package. So that's what we get. Everybody read it? I know.
Everyone read it.
Tell.
I know I did.
Okay, thank you.
I just had we had a LDFA meeting. I'm going to tell you, it was an enlightening meeting. And if you're not up to speed with the LDFA and what it contributes to the village and some of the mission critical initiatives that it has participated in terms of supporting companies like Bradford White or the manufacturing sector in Middleville as a whole. There was some ambiguity before that meeting, and I aimed to understand that a little bit better, and it was well explained. And I certainly am very comforted in knowing that us continuing that body is a major benefit to this community, just simply because shouldering some of the expense that the LDFA has contributed. I mean, from building bridges to rerouting traffic. I mean, it's been a remarkable and wonderful collaborative body to encourage business growth and retention. And I'm going to underscore retention. There's, as comfortable as we are with companies like Bradford White, we think that large building is permanent, but it isn't. And they can always decide to make decisions elsewhere. That kind of the size of that company allows them to make decisions that may not include Middleville. So we obviously want to make sure that we continue a body of communication and support to make sure that they are well taken care of. So the LDFA in some was a good meeting, and I think it was very informative for me. But Irving Road was discussed, and how we participate in those projects, and the support we get externally for those projects is in no small part. And I think part of the budget assessment, if you were to read the budget, which I know Mr. Hamilton, you did, $750,000 came from the LDFA.
Right.
As a budget adjustment for us. So that's a huge amount of money that is going towards that project. So participating in that was much interest to me, and hopefully enlightening to you. If you ever have any questions, I'm happy to answer those as well.
Gloria does a wonderful job in keeping that accurate.
Yes, she does. I can't overstate that. Unfinished business, none. Unless there's more liaison reporting discussions that we'd like to have. No unfinished business. New business, planning commission appointments. Mr. Powers. Your feature presentation, sir.
Thank you, Council. So Ms. Pullen and Ms. Gustinez, they've both been on the Planning Commission. The request for potential applicants has been on, as our rules and procedures for the designated period of time actually exceeded that. Both of their terms are expiring at the end of this month. They both have submitted applications. So the recommendation for you is reappointing those two. If you choose to reappoint those two, we would have a full commission. If you have any questions about them or.
They're very strong participants.
Yes, they are.
They're very good.
They're actually both on the ordinance committee too.
I will make a motion to reappoint Amanda Pullen to the
Support.
Planning and Zoning Commission.
Should we do these separately?
Yes.
Okay. Suppose we could just, I don't think a roll call is in order, is there? Okay. All those in favor? All those opposed? All right, motion carries. Congratulations,
I'll make a motion
Amanda.
to approve the appointment of Maria to the Planning Commission.
Or
All right, motion to approve the appointment of Maria Gustinas to the Planning Commission to a full term expiring April 30th, 2028. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Powers. In your packet, there's important information, draft minutes for Planning Commission meeting of April 15th, DDA revenue and expenditures report, leaving it up to public comment for a limit of 3 minutes for any of those who'd like to take advantage of that. Seeing none. Any final council comments? We'll start with you. Tracy? None? Ann?
I am good, thank you.
Mr. Hamilton?
well, thank you for hearing me out on my concerns. And Doug, pardon me for barking at you. You handled it well. Don't mean I won't bark at you again, but and thanks for getting us out of here 4 minutes after 8.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. John?
I am going to make a comment about our project for trails. Again, I've been talking to a lot of community folks, and the enthusiasm for our trails is greater than what most people think. People come walk their kids, walk their dogs, try to exercise, especially when you have warm weather days like this. People will come take a walk, have lunch at one of our businesses down here downtown. Maybe they'll fish, off the bridges here. So our trails and our canoe launches and things like that are just a main part of commerce, not just part of people loving nature. And so I think it was refreshing to hear that community feedback, and I'm looking forward to seeing where our paving projects and bridge projects go. So that's all I have.
Mr. President, I did have
Sure.
one other thing I forgot.
Please.
We don't need to get in depth about it, but I noticed the county is selling the designware piece. Does that mean just a little piece of dirt there on that bank? Designware didn't own the whole thing, did they?
I mean, it was part of it was a part of the land bank.
It's just that little piece where that little building was.
Yeah.
They're selling that, I guess. That's what I read somewhere.
I think there was a buyer for that property, but that's the rumor I've heard. So
Okay, so they would buy the little piece and then buy the big piece or
Yeah.
whatever.
I-
That's kind of strange.
I don't have anything substantial. I did hear that rumor, but it is just that small piece.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
thinking what
But
the
I don't have
planning
any
commission
concrete-
would do with that,
I
Ice
think,
cream stand maybe.
I think we'll put it to good use one way or another, or if somebody
Yeah.
decides to buy it, but I have high hopes for that slice
Yeah,
of
it's
land.
the river frontage. It's, yeah.
splash pad.
Yeah.
No,
All
I'm kidding.
right, thank you.
Okay. I really just want to thank the council as always with your input and cooperation. And I'm excited about the bridge, as I think a lot of people are. A lot of good data. I appreciate Mr. Powers and the conversations that we have, and certainly about how we're moving forward with social district. I think that's going to be a big win for the village of Middleville. Thank you for your efforts and community outreach. It's certainly great to see activity, and I'm very pleased with that. So with that, I believe a motion is in order.
Move with adjourn.
Support.
We have a motion with support. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Meeting adjourned.
If you'd like a car show flyer, stop on down.
Brandon, thanks for coming all the way down here. Ma'am? We were all having a good time.